So if you logged into Anthem for the past few hours, you might have seen it updating with the latest patch, which includes many of the fixes we've talked about in the past few days, as well as a lot more undocumented changes and an open world event currently underway. We're going to check them out in just a bit, but before that, I want to first announce the fact that the Anthem giveaway has officially ended and the winner has been picked, but you can check it towards the end of the video. In the meantime, we were talking about some of the undocumented changes in the newest patch. I'm going to go over some of the bigger ones, including probably the first one you will ever see in the welcome screen when starting up the game, and that is of course the new Outlaw Outrage event that takes place in the free play mode. I did test it out for a little bit, and at first glance there's a lot of new outlaws spawning everywhere. Like literally everywhere I go there's some outlaws spawning in much greater numbers than before, to the point that they completely overwhelmed me on Grandmaster 1 and even downed me, so I kinda had to leave. Of course, for these, in order to do them properly, you will need some team play, so if you're going in solo you might have some problems, so either like tune down the difficulty or go with a group of friends. Now the second big one is of course the brand new expedition screen, and this has been added, also somewhat revamped, and it displays as a list. You can still hover the old map and check the menu over there and see what activities you have on the map itself. Tell me if you like it, tell me if you don't. For me it was kinda unnecessary. I already found the existing expedition screen to be rather okay, intuitive. We then have the difficulty settings, which all had their descriptions pretty much remade. For the easy, normal and hard difficulties, you can now see a disclaimer that pretty much says at pilot level 25+, a small number of masterwork weapons are available. This of course referencing to the fact that only 6 masterwork or legendary items can drop at that level and on that difficulty. So if you're playing anything below Grandmaster 1, you're not going to have too many masterworks or legendary. They only drop from a pool of 6 limited items. We already knew a lot of this, but it seems a lot of other players didn't, so now we have that disclaimer in the game as well. But starting with Grandmaster 1 and upwards is where things become more interesting. First of all the recommended power levels have been majorly increased, with GM1 now requiring at least 400 power level, 475 for GM2, and finally 500 plus for GM3. That is more than 100 difference in item level compared to how it was previously, and that is insane. I was already recommending at least plus 50 item level on top of what was already recommended in the previous patch, but it seems that not even that was sufficient. It also looks like the drop percentages have been scrapped, and now there is a more general explanation. For GM1 there's a small increase to the chance of receiving masterwork items and a small chance for legendaries. Then for GM2 there's an increased chance to receive masterwork and legendary items, and finally GM3 with a significant increase in both of these chances. So there you have it. Honestly, I'm not sure if I prefer these explanations or the previous percentages. I believe that the percentages were a little bit better and at least gave you a better sense of what this means, because small, slight or significant increase doesn't really say anything when you don't really know what the reference point even is. And if you look at the old percentages, you will see that they kinda go hand in hand with the new explanations. The old Grandmaster 1 had a 175 drop chance for masterwork and legendary items, then at Grandmaster 2 I believe they had roughly 450%, and finally Grandmaster 3 was at around 900% drop chance for both legendary and masterwork items. That was a little bit better and it gave us a better understanding of the calculations, but I guess it doesn't really make any difference now, considering that this is just a text update. It's not an actual update for the difficulties themselves. They have pretty much remained unchanged. But what makes a big difference with the newest patch is the fact that now and stronghold bosses as well as the legendary contracts guarantee a masterwork quality item whenever you do them completely, so you have to complete them in order to get a guaranteed masterwork or upwards item. This of course only applies to the Grandmaster difficulties, and I did test it out in both the Tyrant Mine as well as a handful of legendary contracts, and I can indeed confirm the fact that I did get a lot more masterwork items, specifically when finishing them. There were points in which I wasn't getting any masterworks from any of the NPCs, but after finishing them I would see them popping up on the screen and being unlocked, so that is also very awesome. This should probably incentivize groups at very least to not just complete the first 2 chests in the strongholds, but rather stick up until the end. Also, by the way, the end boss in the Tyrant Mine, as I was talking about it, now drops actual loot, and you can see it after defeating it. It's really cool, but you kind of don't get a chance to even pick it up because the timer is still like roughly 5-10 seconds at most. Another undocumented change that I haven't seen being posted is in regards to the stronghold objectives. Previously, you would unlock a chest by simply silencing the ruins or completing whatever the objective was, like for example detonating a section of the room. This meant that you could completely skip even fighting the enemies, especially in the Tyrant Mine, and just go for the orbs, silencing the relics, and that would pretty much reward you the chests. Well, it seems that that has been completely changed, and with the newest patch you cannot do that anymore, and now it seems that you have to completely clear out the area before unlocking those chests. So even though you silence the relic itself, you will still need to clear out whatever enemy has been left before having the next area unlock and before seeing your rewards. So I guess that is a good change. I believe there was a lot of skipping done, especially in the Tyrant Mine, and yeah, at the very least it makes people stick around for a little bit longer. Finally, I also want to mention the slight compass update, which now has 2 red arrow markers on the edges indicating your enemy's locations relative to your position. It's pretty useful in combat, especially if you want to orientate yourself, and we did see this in a previous live stream like a few days back, so it's now in the game as well, and yeah, it does help quite a lot with the orientation. Now, what is my general impressions of the update, you might ask? Well, I know that the loading times have been majorly improved, but I believe that mostly affected people who played it on the consoles or who have their game on their hard drives. On my SSD, I didn't see much improvement compared to the previous patch, if at all, but my loading times were already great to begin with, so I cannot really complain. I will say that the performance seems to have been suffering quite a bit. I have not changed anything in terms of graphical settings, but I am noticing a lot of frame drops recently with the newest patch, and I'm hearing a lot of other people having similar issues as well. So yeah, let's move on. In the meantime, there's also a lot of talk being done in a recent dev stream, and it contains some really cool stuff. We're going to go over that right now. There's a lot of stuff in the plans, a lot of future content being planned, and I'm not going to make a full recap, but rather simply talk about some of my favorite discussion points and also the ones you'll probably be most interested in. First, the ping system from Apex Legends was brought up, and it looks like Bioware is definitely interested in something like this for Anthem. Unfortunately, it was also talked that porting it from Apex Legends to Anthem is not something easy, but instead Bioware might be looking into their own version of it, so hopefully we'll get to see that really soon. It seems that Bioware also wants to bring in this option in the game, as well as other means to interact with your party members and with other players as well. I was also talking earlier about incentivizing players to stick up until the end of the strongholds, and one of these incentives that we might see really soon come in the form of these vanity chests that you get to open with keys you earn from completing daily challenges. The current plan Bioware has is to make end stronghold bosses to drop 4 vanity chests, which can contain a number of exotics from a pool of about 100 items. It's said that each player can unlock one of these chests, but all 4 of them will count towards all players, so you can potentially go with a group of friends, each of you open up one of the chests, and all 4 of you will be able to get items from all of the 4 chests, as they're pretty much shared like any other loot chest in the game, so that is pretty freaking awesome. A character stat page, which is something the game desperately needs, is also on the table, and we might get to see this sooner rather than later. For now, it's quite difficult to min-max your build without knowing exactly what your stats are and how much your gear pieces affect that, so yeah, this is arguably one of the most requested features right now, and it also looks like it's on the table, and hopefully Bioware will add it in a timely manner. Finally, sometimes next week we might get to see a full detail on the content roadmap for the next 90 days. So far we don't really know much about this roadmap, but what do you guys want to see more of in terms of content in Anthem? Cataclysms have been discussed, but is there anything else, any new type of content that you want to see in the game, or maybe just new strongholds or dungeons in general? Tell me down below and I'll try to reply to as many comments as possible. In the meantime, that is all I have for today, you guys. guys. As for the giveaway itself, here is the winner. You can see it right now on the screen. Congratulations to you, sir or madam. I have already sent you an email with all of the details and awaiting your reply. So yeah, for everybody else, there's going to be more giveaways planned soon, so make sure to stay around for that for a little bit longer. In the meantime, a thumbs up would be super appreciated. Also make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys later.